This is part 2 where we're going to be making the hat and the dungarees for the bunny. If you're looking for part 1 where we're creating the bunny itself, I will link that in the description. So for the hat, you can take whatever colour yarn you like. I'm just going to use the same colour for both the hat and the dungarees, but you can use a different colour for each if you like. So for the hat, using your colour yarn of choice, you want to make a magic ring, and into that magic ring we are going to do 8 single crochets. So we're just going to fasten the middle of that magic ring, and then we will do a double knot just to make sure that it's nice and secure and it's not going to unravel. So for round 2 we are going to increase into every single stitch, so that will bring this round stitch count up to 16 stitches. For round 3 we are going to do a single crochet into the first stitch, and then into the second stitch we are going to increase, and we're going to continue this all the way around to bring our stitch count up to 24 stitches. And then for round 4 we are going to do a single crochet into the first 2 stitches, and then into the third stitch we will be increasing, and this will bring our stitch count up to 32 stitches for this round. So for round 5, if you place what we've done so far on top of the bunny, you'll see we're now coming up to where the ear holes are. So for the ear holes we're going to be working around the ear. So to start we are going to chain 10 stitches. Then if we wrap that underneath the ear, so by doing so we're going to be skipping 4 stitches, and then into that 5th stitch we're just going to reattach our yarn to the main hat, and we're going to do 8 single crochets across the front of that hat to bring us to the next ear. So that's chain 10, skip 4, reinsert your hook into the main hat using a slip stitch, and then 8 single crochets. So once we've done our 8 single crochets and we're at that next ear, we're going to do a chain 10 again, just like we did with the last ear. And we're going to wrap that underneath the ear. I'm sorry about the speed on this, I kind of filmed it in slow-mo and had to speed it up. So after we've done our chain 10, we're going to skip 4 stitches and reinsert it into that 5th stitch along. And after we've reinserted it, we're going to do 10 single crochets, and this should bring you back to that very first stitch. So when we're back to where we began, just attach using a slip stitch like what we do with every other round. So for rounds 6 through to 7, we are just going to do a single crochet into every single stitch. Round 8 will be our last round, and you should be getting something that starts to look a bit like a hat now, that is wrapped around the ears. So for this round we are going to be increasing into every single stitch, but instead of using a single crochet like we have done previously, we're going to be using a double crochet. So into every single stitch you want to do 2 double crochets, and this will help give the edge of the hat that frill. And then once you're done with that, you can just cut off the end of your yarn. It doesn't have to be particularly long, because we're just going to secure it, and then you just weave in the ends using a needle. And then it should look something like this. And then when we move on to the dungarees, like I said earlier, you can use the same colour yarn, you can use different colour yarn, it's entirely up to you. So I'm going to use the same colour yarn, and I'm going to do a chain of 26 to start. Then after I have done that chain, I am going to do a slip stitch into that very first stitch we did. So we're kind of creating a circular shape with our yarn. Just make sure you are picking up that very first stitch. Do your slip stitch, and then we are going to do a single crochet into every single stitch for the next 2 rounds. So that will keep our stitch count at 26 stitches. And this will form our leg hole for the dungarees. So we're going to be making 2 of these. So once you have finished this first leg, you can cut the end of the yarn and then just secure it and weave in the ends, or you can leave it to later on and we can sort it out then. And then after you've made the second one, make sure you don't cut the end of the yarn, because we need this to attach it to the second leg. So only cut the yarn on the very first leg. Then after we've done both, if we just slide it up the legs on our bunnies, I like to make sure that the hook in the stitch that we're still working into is on the inside of the leg, because we're going to use this to attach to the first leg. So I'm going to use a slip stitch to attach both legs. I still have the yarn tail from the first leg, which I'm going to weave in as I go along. So I just move that across and I do my slip stitch now that both legs are attached. And then after both legs are attached, for rounds 4 through till 7, you're just going to do a single crochet into every single stitch. So your stitch count will be at 52 stitches for each of these rounds. After that, you want to do a slip stitch 4 times. So we're going to be working on the little front of the dungarees rather than the main body. So we want to get it slightly across. So we do slip stitch 4 times. And then after we've done our 4 slip stitches, we are going to turn the work over. And then you want to do 8 single crochets. So we're going to do 8 single crochets across. We want to do this for 4 rounds. So at the end of every round, you're just going to do a chain 1 before turning your work and continuing doing the next 8 stitches. So we're going to be doing this for 4 rounds. So now we've got the front of our dungarees. It should be nice and square and in the centre. So what you're going to want to do is chain 18 stitches. And we're going to make this go over the top of the arm and down the back of the bunny. So once we've done our 18 stitches, you might find that sometimes it is slightly too long. So if you think it's going to be too loose, you can just take off a stitch or 2 to make it nice and tight. And then we're going to slip stitch into the back of the dungarees. It doesn't really matter where you do a slip stitch, I just like to make mine nice and straight. And then we're going to turn the work. And then along the strap that we've just made with our slip stitches, we're going to do a single crochet into each of those slip stitches. So that will be 18 single crochets all along the strap. Once we are back at the front of the bunny, you just want to do a slip stitch to attach to the front of those dungarees, and then we're going to do 8 slip stitches across the front. Just like where we did those 8 single crochets previously, we're just going to do a slip stitch into each of those because we don't want the front to be getting any bigger. And then once we've done our 8 slip stitches, we're going to again chain 18 to create the second strap. And then again, when we're at the back, we're going to do a slip stitch just to reattach. Make sure you kind of do an even distance where you're attaching both sides so the straps aren't wonky. Like I said previously, I just like mine straight down to the back, I don't do it wonky. Then we're going to turn around, and again, as we did previously with the other strap, we're going to do a single crochet into each of those slip stitches that we did previously. So that'll be 18 single crochets all the way along the strap to the front of the work. And then when we're at the front, what we can do is we can just cut off that yarn, and then we're going to secure it, and you can weave in your ends using a yarn needle like you normally do. And once everything's nice and secure, you can dress your bunny, and hopefully it should look something just like this.